So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Boris Johnson facing more calls to quit as Prime Minister as soon as possible. So effectively, I've buried the lead slightly there, which is Boris Johnson's announced his resignation as the leader of the Tory party. He's announced that he'll step down as Prime Minister in the autumn, which is ridiculous, and that's something I'll talk about in a few minutes, but we'll go through the main bits of this first, which is Johnson is to stand down as Conservative Party leader, tends to carry on Prime Minister until the autumn, which could be September, October, even into November. He's set to appoint new ministers to replace those who quit in protest. He intends to stay in Downing Street until a new Tory leader has been elected to replace him. Some Tory MPs are urging him to leave as soon as possible. Keir Starmer's threatening to do a vote of no confidence in the House of Commons if Johnson doesn't go, but I can see Tories backing him purely because they don't want to trigger a general election. Whoever the new leader is inherits a huge majority, historic majority really. That's the reason why I think the Tories didn't want to do a parliamentary vote of no confidence. That and the secrecy around a Tory vote of no confidence means that it gives them more protection as well. Former Minister Sir Bob Neill told MPs there was a serious question mark over how long a caretaker Prime Minister could stay in place. I mean, that's true though as well, because the only way they could get rid of him is a formal vote in the House of Commons, seeing as he's not the Tory party leader anymore, I guess. Might it not be in everyone's interest to speed up the transition as much as possible, he added. I mean, he's not wrong again, but at this point, Johnson is desperate to cling on as long as possible. He's lost the confidence of all of those around him. And right now, there aren't enough ministers in place to actually do, standard government business. That's how bad the situation is. 48 hours, which saw dozens of ministers, including Sunak, resigning in protest at his leadership. Sunak's replacement, Nadim Zahawi, who was literally in the job for less than a day. He's still in the job, obviously, but he was there less than a day, and he told Johnson to go. Like, that's crazy. The only reason I can see some of these people taking on ministerial jobs is because they'll get paid more and they'll get a severance package as well. Attorney General and leading backbencher Steve Baker, Brexit hardman Steve Baker, are the first Tory MPs to declare the leadership bid. Less than 3 years ago, she did that. Braverman did that on live TV as well before Johnson. That was yesterday, I think she announced it. Less than 3 years ago, Johnson won a historic landslide victory in a general election, but has been dogged by controversy in recent months, including a fine for breaking his own lockdown rules. And the numerous kind of things that Boris Johnson have done is just madness. It's just madness. You got the Lord Brown envelope stuff where, allegedly Tory donors paid for his house renovation or flat renovations. You've got obviously the lockdown parties. You've got the, VIP lanes for the COVID contracts. You've got the Pincher situation, which is the one that sunk him in the end. It's just so many. Wow. It's just so many, more than I can name. BBC's political editor Chris Mason said Graham Brady, the chairman of the 1922 committee of backbench Tories, has met with the Prime Minister, telling him he has no confidence. He has lost the confidence of his party. Labour also think that Johnson should leave as Prime Minister now, and there should be an interim Prime Minister until autumn, so Cabinet would effectively decide on an interim. Nicola Sturgeon has said that he should go. Johnson should go as well. And I just wanted to talk about kind of some of the stuff around the myth that Johnson has to stay in post until there's a new leader until the autumn, which is ridiculous. Because if you look at when Theresa May left, Theresa May announced on the 24th of May 2019 she would resign as leader of the Tory party on the 7th of June and as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom once a successor has been elected, right? So 7th of June she said she was going to resign. So she gave 2 weeks notice at best there. The general membership of the party elected by postal vote. The announcement was done 23rd of July. Boris Johnson being elected with almost twice as many votes as his opponent Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt got battered. But point being is, 24th of May she announced the resignation. 7th of June she was gone. Effectively she was gone. She was still, I think, the interim Prime Minister. But during the summer, not a lot of government business happens anyways because Parliament's on recess. And then you've got 23rd of July. But Boris Johnson's elected. That's over a span of over a month. You could say 2 months at best. So the idea he has to stay in the autumn is ridiculous. I suppose unless you class September as the start of the autumn, we could have a new Tory leader in September. The argument he's making he can stay until November is ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, he could go right now. They could get a deputy in. They could get maybe Dominic Raab in as the interim until a new Tory leader is done. Liz Truss is back on a flight from Indonesia, an 18-hour flight. She's just straight back in. It's just madness. This whole situation is madness now. He's gone. He's finally going. Labour need to get it together, and they need a policy platform quick. Been banging on about this for well over a year now. Who is Starmer? What does he actually genuinely believe in? But now he's running out of time. He has to come up with policy proposals quick. If I were him, I'd really start threatening that vote of no confidence and just say, look, it can happen. Get out now before we force you out completely. PMQ is going to be lit next week. But point being is that Johnson thinks he can hang on for a while longer. He needs to go. If I was Boris Johnson and I wanted to be a complete arsonist, I would say I'm calling a general election. I'll say straight up, I'm calling a general election. I'm going to dissolve Parliament. The new Tory leader can deal with a new election because they need a new mandate, etc. I'd love to see that. But this is a man who criticised Gordon Brown for clinging on to power. This is a man who criticised dictators for clinging on to power. Now this is a man himself. He's become everything he criticised. He's constantly clinging on to power. I'm going to do a longer form video on the Chris Pincher situation, talk about kind of how toxic things really were at some point soon. I've just got to get through some of the other topics. But yeah, honestly, wild times. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.